Hi guys, this is Sam with another episode of Dev Bytes. For this episode, we're going to be talking about sound effects and voice acting. We're going to be talking about the different types of sound effects in video games and how to make your own, and we're also going to be talking about voice acting and how to do it yourself. First off, let's talk about sound effects. Sound effects are important for almost every video game. Think about it. Have you ever played a game that was completely silent? And was it fun? Of course, this is completely to your own preference. I know a lot of people who play video games without their sound on. But I'd like to argue having the sound on in your video game really enhances your experience. Sounds are used for association. Sounds can be used to set up a specific scenery or image in a player's mind. Sound effects in video games associate with certain actions or events that happen in-game. There are different categories of sound effects in video games. First are UI sounds, general feedback, action feedback, event or sound cues, satisfactory sounds, and ambience. Note, these aren't official terms. These are terms that I have made for you guys so you guys have a better understanding of the different categories of sound effects in video games. Also, I took inspiration from this video called The Power of Video Game Sound Effects by Nikki Jakey. It is a video that we watched last Tuesday as part of the general meeting. So first, let's go over some UI sounds. So UI sounds are the sounds that players hear when they interact with the UI of the game. So this could be when you interact with the menus, with the options, and with your inventory.
I got the spike.
The next type of sound is general feedback. These are the sounds players hear when they interact with their environment, such as walking, jumping, or climbing. Next up, we have action feedback. The sounds players hear when they interact with objects or other characters. This could be shooting a weapon, using a skill, or placing items down. Number 4 is going to be sound or event cues. These are the sounds players hear that indicate something is happening or something will happen, such as an enemy charging up an attack, an alert, or a death indicator. Next up are some satisfactory sounds. These are the favorite sounds of players because these are what they hear when they do something correctly or important, such as leveling up, critical hits, or finding treasure.
How How about I only bring it next time?
And lastly, we have ambience. These are the sounds players hear when they are in a specific environment, such as the wind, some mob noises, or some wood creaking. An important note about sounds. Sound is a large category that includes sound effects, jingles, and music. These can all serve the same purpose of associating in-game cues. Sound effects are basic sounds or blips. Jingles can offer more complex meanings with longer playback. And music is the most complex of the three, offering associations to larger ideas, such as emotions. Refer to our previous workshop about music on our YouTube channel. I can also link it in the description down below. So how can I make these cool sound effects? Before we get into making some sound effects, here are some tips for them. First, think of what you want it to sound like. What kind of sound is it? When would you like to hear this sound? Ask yourself these kinds of questions to get a better idea of where to start. Next, look for objects around your house that can recreate that sound. These objects can range from actual instruments to just any item within your reach that makes a noise when you hit it. Number 3, record the sound and put it into an audio workspace. You don't need a fancy microphone. Most modern smartphones have a pretty good microphone quality. And lastly, edit the sound to your heart's desire. There are 3 ways you can enhance your sound effect: layering, pitch shifting, and equalizing. Some tips to creating sounds with Audacity. Audacity is a free audio workspace that you can use to create sound effects as well as edit your own audio. There are 3 effects you can use to create awesome sound effects: layering, equalizing, and pitch shifting. For more information about how to create these sound effects, I will put a link in the description to this YouTube video. Alright you guys, so we have Audacity open right here, and again, Audacity is a free audio workspace that you can download online. I'm going to show you guys real quick how to layer, pitch shift, and how to equalize. So first off, let's go ahead and record some sounds. We're going to go right here to the red circle to click record. Okay, let's go ahead and let's select which of these sounds we want to keep. When you figure out which one you like the best, for example, I like this sound right here. We're going to, using this select tool, select that one, and then we're going to go ahead and isolate it. Once you have that isolate, let's go ahead and use this time shift tool to go ahead and shift it all the way to the beginning. Alright, awesome. So the first step to layering is to record multiple sound effects on top of each other. So let's go ahead, go to tracks, add new, and let's add a new mono track. And in this track, we're going to record a new sound effect. Alright you guys, same thing, let's go ahead and select which of these sounds we like the most. Alright, I think I like this sound the most, so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to select it, and then we're going to go ahead and isolate it, and go ahead and drag it to the very beginning. Let's go ahead and try to line these up together. And let's see what they sound like. Alright, so we already are starting to get a very simple sound effect right here. This could be used as maybe a UI select sound effect, or maybe an item collecting sound effect. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the next step, which is pitch shifting. And the way that we pitch shift, we're going to go ahead and select the audio we want to pitch shift, which is this one right here. And then let's go ahead, go to effects, and go to change speed. If you want to change it lower, you're going to head and drag the slider all the way down. If you want to change it to be higher, go ahead and drag it all the way up. In this case, let's go ahead and see what it sounds like when it's lower. Click OK, and there we go. The pitch should change, so let's go ahead and move it so that they're aligned again. And let's go ahead and see what this sounds like now. Alright, that sounds pretty cool. Let's go ahead and change the pitch of this one as well. Let's go to change speed. Let's see what it sounds like if it's higher up. Alright, let's go ahead and align these. Alright, the sound gets kind of lost there, but a way we can change that is to go ahead and equalize. The way that we do that, same thing. Go ahead, select the sound you want to equalize, and then let's go over to effect, and let's go to filter curve. So these are the volumes for each pitch. So over here on the x-axis, the lower you go, the lower the pitch is, and the higher you go, the higher the pitch is. And for the y-axis, that's going to determine your volume. So the lower it is, the more you can't hear it, and the higher it is, the less you can hear, the more you can hear it. So let's go ahead and try to just mess around with the curve and see what we like. Okay, let's go ahead and see what this sounds like now. Alright, I kind of like that, so let's go ahead and come over here and let's do the same thing. Effect, filter curve. I think we want to keep the higher pitches for this one, so okay, let's click OK and see what this sounds like now. Let's go ahead and do a little bit more of those 3 things we said earlier to enhance this sound. Alright, you guys, I added one more sound effect, which was me hitting my water bottle, and already I like the sound so much more. Alright, and that's how you create your own sound effect using layering, pitch shifting, and equalizing. I'm gonna go ahead and play a couple of clips for you where me and my boyfriend go ahead and make our own cool sound effect. Go ahead and check it out. Next section, we're going to talk about voice acting. So, why should video games have voice acting? Voice acting is another form of association. If sounds associate actions and music associates with emotion, then voice acting associates with characters. Voice acting's primary use is to give life and substance to characters in a video game. Most often, voice acting can be found in a game that is story-heavy or character-driven, such as The Last of Us, Red Dead Redemption, and Nier Automata.
All right, good night.
Hey,
Scoot.
Monday at work, huh?
What are you still doing up? It's late.
Oh, crud, what time is it?
It's way past your bedtime.
But it's still today.
Honey, please not right now. I do not have the energy for this.
Here,
What's this?
your birthday?
Miss Gaskell, get that fire lit, quick. Miss Jones, bring in whatever blankets we have. Mr. Pearson, see what we've got in terms of food.
Davy's dead.
There was nothing more you could have done.
What are we gonna do? We need supplies.
Well, first of all, you're gonna stay here, and you were gonna get yourself warm. Now, I sent John and Mike scouting out ahead. Arthur and I, we're gonna ride out, see if we can find one of them. This?
I have to repair him. Hod, get me staunching gel and logic virus vaccines. Then access the—
Inadvisable. The subject's vital signs are too poor to attempt field repair in
Shut up!
current...
Just do what I say!
To be. Just go.
You shut up too.
We're soldiers. We take pride in our service.
Sometimes, voice acting doesn't even have to include voices. Characters can even speak using unique sound effects, such as in Undertale, Don't Starve, or in Animal Crossing. What are ways I can voice act in my own video game? And just like before, we're going to be talking about some tips you can use for voice acting. First, decide a few things about your character before you start voicing them, such as, how do they express themselves? Are they feminine or are they masculine? Are they old or are they young? What kind of personality do they have? Make sure you warm up your voice and don't strain yourself. You can try some voice or singing exercises to warm up your voice. Some voices can be strenuous to your throat and could hurt you, so make sure you rest and drink water. Record your lines in a different way each time. Try changing your inflection or cadence when you say your line. Emphasize different words or speak slowly at some parts and fast at others. Varying your lines will help you get different options for different voices. Edit the sound to your heart's desire. Clean up some plosives and remove some noise in the background, and maybe even remove some awkward pauses. You can even add cool effects if your character needs it. So, how can I create unique and different voices each time? Here are 3 simple ways you can change your voice to make a new voice for your characters. You can change the tempo, the pitch, or the power of your breath. For more information about how to create 100 distinctly different voices, go ahead and click the link in the description to this video. Hi guys, so when we're talking about voice acting and we want to differentiate the different voices that we use, we can go ahead and change it in 3 different ways. So first, we can change the tempo. So that's how fast or how slow they talk. So for example, you can have a character who talks really slowly and announces every single word that he says. Or you can have a character who talks at a medium pace, which is kind of like the way I'm talking right now. Or you can have a character who talks really, really fast and you can't really understand what they're saying because they're talking way too fast and you can't even understand them. That's what we mean by tempo when we're talking about different characters. The next step, number 2, is the pitch of their voice. So it's either how deep their voice is or how high their voice is. So, for example, we could have a character who speaks in a really, really deep tone. I have a more feminine voice, so it's very hard for me to go any deeper than this. Or you could have a character who speaks with a medium pitch, which would be around your range of voice speaking. So this is me speaking at my medium pitch. Or you could have a character who talks at a really high pitch, kind of like this one. Or you could even talk even higher like this one. So that's what we mean by the different pitches in your voice. Number 3, the next step is to change the power of the breath. And what we mean by that is we want to control how much breath or how much air we're pushing out of our mouths when we speak. So you can have a character who talks with very little breath and she always sounds like she's out of breath for some reason. Or you could talk again at a sort of medium mid pace, kind of like the way you're talking right now. Or you can talk very, very loudly. It's kind of also defined by the pitch, but you're forcing a lot of air out of my throat right now, and that's kind of how I sound. So when we mix all of these 3 components together, you guys can get a variation of different voices. So for example, let's go ahead, let's slow down the way that I talk, and let's also pitch up my voice a little higher than usual. And let's also make sure I don't release as much air as I usually would. So now I have this really soft, really breathy voice that talks really, really slow. Or we could do the opposite. Let's have a voice that is really, 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 really fast, or as fast as I can speak naturally. Let's have it be lowered. Let's have it be really, really low down like this. And then let's have them speak very, very loudly and very forcefully, kind of like this. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another Twitch stream sort of thing. Hey, coach, you did a really great job there. Nice football catch, or whatever people say. So we can always mix and match all those different things. Another way, if you want a more advanced technique to switching up and varying your voices, there's two different ways you could do it. One, you could switch the inflection or the cadence. So for example, sometimes babies can't pronounce their W's correctly, or sometimes they can't pronounce words correctly, so sometimes they talk a little bit like this. Oh, I like number 2 and I like number 3, but I don't know how to say the letter R word because I always slur them. So I always speak like this. It's kind of like an uwu voice. So that's changing my inflection of certain things. Maybe people speak with different inflections. Like for example, they always enunciate every T that they have in their sentences. That's another way of changing up the inflection of the way you speak. The second way is a little bit more advanced and complex, and you'd really have to be careful with this one, and it's working with accents. So different accents or different dialects have different cadences, different inflections that they use. For example, the very British people, they talk a little bit like this. It's a little offensive, which is why I say you should be really careful when you try to speak like this, or when you try to speak like a different like a different races. It's kind of difficult. I don't know what accent that was right there, but again, it's really hard. And again, you should be very careful when you speak with accents. I would consult a lot of tutorials, or if you have access to a dialect coach, that's also very helpful. But that's different ways you guys can go ahead and vary your voice. Alright, you guys, thanks so much for watching this episode of Dev Bytes. See you again next time.